So step 4 for this lovely semester that you're about to partake in is fake it till you make it. I walked into this assuming that teachers knew everything, and even growing up, I was like, you know what? These teachers know everything. They know all the answers to my questions. It's amazing. And then as I'm going through this process and reteaching myself a lot of information that it's been years since I've ever looked at, I realized that I have no idea about a lot of these subjects and curriculum, and I thought that I was a complete and utter failure. I was like, this is not the profession for me. I don't know. And it took me until probably December to realize that it's okay to tell the child, I have no idea. And that was really where a lot of my Breakdown Tuesdays came from, was the fact that I could not accept the answer, I don't know. And once I have, and trust me, I tell my students all the time when they ask me questions, I don't know. I just work here. No, but I think that once you realize that it's okay if you don't know the answer to a question, or that maybe you're partaking in a lesson that you really have no true idea. You know the basics, but you can't go really in depth with it. I think that it's okay to tell them that you don't know, and you can kind of push some of that onto them and say, you know what, that's a really good question. How about tonight you look up the answer and come back with it tomorrow and tell all of the class, so that we can kind of sit down and talk about it together. And that also gives you time to do the same thing, so that when they come back the next day and go, okay, did any of you find the answer about whatever it was that you talked about the day before, kids can raise their hands, and then you can open a discussion about that. And I think that not only will it help them kind of take responsibility on for finding out their own information, it'll also help you realize that it's okay to say I don't know, and kind of put it on the kids, and give you time to figure it out for yourself, because they're going to throw some crazy questions at you in the middle of your lessons, and you're just going to kind of be like, sure, I have no idea. But usually I would just go, help, and point back to my CT, and she would just be like, oh yeah, no, it's this. So the biggest thing is, the more that you teach and the longer that you're in this career, the more easily that it'll flow out. And while you're doing those lessons and talking, you'll accumulate those really cool stories that your teachers had, and you'll make your own, and you'll get used to, in the middle of a lecture, throwing out a really neat story that the kids will remember for years and years on down the road. It doesn't happen right now, and I think that was one of the biggest things that I had to overcome, is realize that I'm not there yet. I don't have that experience that all of my other teachers had. So that is the biggest piece of advice. And I want to say that another reason that was one of the biggest fears for me is to say I don't know, is because kids are mean and kids are vicious, and they can smell fear from a mile away, and they come in and they're just like, ooh, fresh meat. What can we do to this teacher today? And not all children are like that, but I'm not saying that if you have a block schedule, you'll have 3 classes, or traditionally you'll have 6. I'm not saying that one of those classes is not going to have a child inside of it that's going to just rip you to shreds. They won't all, but there is going to be some. Mine was my 4th period during student teaching, and it was a senior class that had no interest in being there whatsoever, and it was the last period of the day, and they're just ready to graduate, and here's this new woman that's in this classroom trying to teach me, and they thought it was hilarious. But I also had 2 CTs, so the CT for this class was kind of laid back and very different from the teacher that did the honor civics with me. And she was just like, oh, you'll be fine. She's like, just jump in front of them, and if you have any questions, just ask me, and, you know, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay, well, then I don't worry about it. And then I've got kids just looking at me like, what are you talking about? Why are you talking to me? But again, I used my support system to help me get through that process and realize what was best for me and what was best for them and our time together and how my lessons would be for them. And towards the end, I really got to know what it was that fit best for them. They needed a little bit more guidance than my honors classes did, and it was good practice for me just because with honors students, majority of the time they take on a lot of the responsibility, whereas my senior class did not. They did not want to do any homework. They didn't want to do anything. They just were like, let me get in here and get out of here and graduate. I don't care. So by making sure that a lot of their class time was, we did a little bit of notes and you were doing some reading and you were